Hey guys, I'm Phile and welcome to the show. In the October 5th Quake Champions patch, Sorlag was nerfed after becoming a must-pick character in basically every duel, and a lot of community feedback saying that it was too powerful. There are a lot of people who are claiming that it's still possible to do with Sorlag, and while that's true, I have to agree that it was just a bit too overpowered in its current state. Two equally skilled players, if one of them was playing Sorlag, just seemed to be a head above the rest, and at the very top level of play, this was a problem. So why was Sorlag so good? In this video, I want to go through my system for thinking about champion balance and comparing two champions in this game. I want to talk about why Sorlag was so good, why it was nerfed, and why they nerfed specific aspects, and why I think this nerf may not even be enough. Talking about champions in this game is really hard because they have such a diverse range of skills. It's really hard to compare two champions directly. So when I'm looking at this, I like to break champions down into three main aspects. I like to talk about their stack, their mobility, and their active ability. These three things really define what a character is able to do. When you talk about characters, you also do have to consider their hitboxes as well, but I think that's more of a passive thing about how much damage you take, but I will be addressing this as well. So let's look at some examples with this system. If we take Anarchy for example, his mobility is absolutely unparalleled. He is so fast, he can maintain and actually accelerate his speed around corners. His stack is very lacking, and this is the big drawback with Anarchy, is this low stack, because his ability is also really good, replenishing your HP, potentially increasing your max cap, although that aspect doesn't come into play very often. But the fact that Anarchy is able to restock his health between fights or after fights, it's such a useful ability in every single game. What if we take Galena? Galena's stack is very average, very middle of the road, you know, not as weak as a light character, not as tanky as a tank character. Her mobility is frankly awful. She may be a bit faster than someone like Scalebearer, but Scalebearer has mobility in his ability, right? He has that bull rush. Galena has no such luck. Her ability is, let's say, it's situational at best. So it makes sense that we see Galena not picked every game, but on certain maps against certain champions, it can really shine. So let's give one more example here in Clutch. When the closed beta test first came out, Clutch was the tankiest champion, but he had terrible mobility. He was so clunky and slow, and his ability, it was alright. The shield wasn't useful in a lot of situations, so he just didn't see any play. When they buffed him, they buffed his mobility a bunch. He can fly around the map. He's possibly the fastest character now. So suddenly you have the character with the most stack, also the fastest, amazing mobility, and with the increased mobility, the shield power became just off the charts. The shield was so useful, so everything was incredibly good for Clutch. And the developers realized this, and they nerfed his stack down, so now he has this drawback. His stack isn't good, but still, mobility and ability are really good. So now onto Sorlag. Sorlag's stack is incredibly tanky, it's as good as anyone's. A fresh respawn of Sorlag has just about as much stack as an Anarchy or a Nyx could ever hope to have in a game. It's really crazy how much Sorlag starts with. And for mobility, Sorlag's really great too. You have this bunny hopping, the ability to maintain and even accelerate your speed around corners. Some people have done a lot to break this with Sorlag. There's a fantastic video on Burial Chamber of Smile Scythe, aka Groin Mischief, just absolutely going to town with this. And finally we have the Acid Spit. Possibly the best ability in the game. On top of doing upwards of, I think, about 200 damage, the Acid Spit has the damage over time effect, where people tick down extra HP. Before this patch, people tick down 50 HP, which is significant stack in a game with lower stacks overall than Quake Live or Quake 3 or any other Quake. And also, that gives you awareness about your opponent. There were just no drawbacks to using this ability. You could pull your gun out straight away again and start shooting. So we have a character who had a good stack, good mobility, and a great ability. The only drawback to playing Sorlag was the large hitbox. If you had a flat fight where there was an Anarchy fighting a Sorlag, you know, the Anarchy could hit so much more damage just because of how physically large the Sorlag is compared to Anarchy. These patches have nerfed Sorlag's ability. You now have to wait longer after using it before you can start shooting again, and the damage over time has been reduced. This definitely hampers its versatility, but it's still a really good ability. Overall, I think this, it makes it more important to hit the actual Acid Spit like globs, right? So it emphasizes the skill of actually aiming them. This is a reduction in how easy it is to maybe abuse the ability, but one that rewards a player who can use it very well. This is the kind of change I really like to see, right? Emphasizing skill, making it a more risk-reward ability, where a high-skilled player can get a lot more out of it. One thing I do think about the Acid Spit not being touched at all is that, well, it really encourages a kind of corner camping gameplay. It's slow. In the QuakeCon Semi and Grand Finals, where you had Cooler versus Claws and then Vu versus Claws, both Cooler and Vu tried to play these Sorlags in really defensive ways. They camped every corner, they were waiting to get this Acid Spit to get the extra damage out so that they could pick a really good fight, and the game slowed down to a crawl. It was so hard to watch at times. Ultimately, Claws was able to triumph over this just because he was picking every single engagement, and if you're picking every single engagement in a game of Quake, you generally can come out on top. But it still stands that, like, even though it didn't break the game, you know, they weren't able to abuse the Acid Spit and win, it still encouraged a style of gameplay that just frankly I didn't find very interesting to watch. My proposal for a better Sorlag would be to reduce the damage from the Acid Spit, reduce Sorlag's stack overall, but to compensate for this, make the hitbox smaller. So you would have a character who was more just kind of middle line in terms of like stack and size. I think that would make more sense for Sorlag's kit overall. You have an ability that deals some damage, but it's not like a tank unleashing some massive blast. It's like more of a mid-range thing. Anyway, that's my rundown of champion balance in Quake Champions. The way I always think about it, the way I like to break these down. I hope you've enjoyed this video. There are definitely more coming soon. There will be one possibly tomorrow. I've recently been in a video talking to Mix05 about this October 5 patch, about some of the changes. Be sure to tune into my channel. I always say this, but there is more coming, and I really mean it this time. I've got the bug. I'm sorting my shit out here. So I look forward to seeing you all very soon for a lot more videos. I'll catch you guys next time.